Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and today we are going to do another mock draft Monday, going through some best ball mock drafts, plural, potentially. A couple of things before I enter the mock draft. I went through the trouble of making and uploading my overall rankings, because I have all my rankings by position, and that's really how I draft, is I just keep them within their positions. I don't like using an overall vertical board, so to speak. But I went through that trouble uploading this, so we'll see how that works, what kind of impacts that has on the draft compared to some of the other ones more recently. And I am going to be trying to do a video on Travis Kelce's strategy if we get Travis in the first round. So let's just get right on into entering a draft here. All right, so the draft is underway. Justin Jefferson has gone first. I have pick 6, so fingers crossed, I might only have to film one video here. Jamar Chase goes off the board second. Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp go off the board after that, which makes it easy for me. Travis Kelce. Now, I would take Austin Eckler over Kelce, and Saquon, but I can wait around for my next pick, hopefully for Saquon. So we will take Travis Kelce and see how this strategy works. All right, so right in front of me, Chris Olave, Nick Chubb go. You can see at this point, pretty heavily begging me to go running back. So I guess I will get another share of Saquon Barkley. And I'm hoping Ramondre can make it around to my next pick. And then we can really see what it looks like if I push off the wide receiver position for a little bit. All right, so we just saw Ramondre go a few picks before. We're going to keep going. I do have Josh Jacobs higher on my board. I'm okay with it. I really would have loved to get Ramondre there around the turn, just given how my rankings are for him. I do have some concerns for my rankings with Ramondre currently, with DeAndre Hopkins potentially going to New England, though he left New England without a deal, so that's helpful. I don't know what that'll do. I know that will lower my expectations from Ramondre, though, if DeAndre goes to New England. All right, Debo, Travis Etienne, Jerry Jeudy, DeAndre Hopkins going in front of me. Just looking at my running backs here, I do have week 13 buys to watch out for, and I will follow my board on this. There were a couple of running backs that I would have been willing to take, mostly because of that buy situation going on, but we will take Terry McLaurin here with my fourth pick, pick 43. I gotta say, the thing about picking in the middle of these rounds, there's not a whole lot of strategy. Once you get to around pick 8, pick 9, you can look at the picks in between and see what kind of players those teams have taken to help strategize which position to take when you're between a few players at a couple of different positions. But there's none of that when you have pick 6, pick 7. All right, so I think this worked pretty well for me. Justin Fields has fallen and taken over a couple of guys here, but as you can see by the ADPs, I mean, I could almost expect a lot of these guys to be there for my next pick anyways. Additionally to that, there have been a lot of wide receivers taken by a lot of these teams. Of course, that's the most popular position, but I'm fairly comfortable that I won't be missing out too much on the wide receivers that I have targets on that'll be coming around. So that'll work for me. Looks like Fields fell a little bit. ADP 48, got him at 54. All right, one more pick before me. Kyle Pitts went. Alexander Madison, this works out well. Marquise Brown was one of those 2 wide receivers we were hoping would fall, and he did, so we will go for that. Fun little note here, we're falling into 2 week 14 buys at wide receivers, so going to have to watch out for that. Of course, my quarterback also, and that's lovely. I think it is wise to pay attention to the bye weeks in best ball, because you can't really have a total dud week. Unlike, redraft, you can work around it, and by the time you get to bye weeks, especially the weeks where you might find yourself in some kind of trouble, it's usually your roster is going to look different at that point anyways. And also, if it doesn't look a whole lot different, that still means that you are stronger every other week. And, you don't need to win every single week in fantasy football. You just got to make it to the championship. And that's definitely not going to require being undefeated. So if it wasn't clear, normally I don't care about the bye weeks, but in best ball I do. All right, I'm back up onto the board, and I'm just debating. I don't think it makes sense to go quarterback here. Do I go? I suppose looking at the ADPs, we're going to go with Brandon Cooks here. I was thinking of going with the running back and just putting a little bit of extra pressure on that position to maybe force some people to start to get concerned about it and just take some running backs a little bit earlier, and then that might help wide receivers to waterfall down to me at some later picks. But it is not what I did. All right, one pick before me, David Montgomery goes. I was planning on taking David Montgomery, so that's really going to make me have to think about this next pick here. And boy. Do I take the risk with Alvin Kamara? I let the time click out on me. I was actually going to take Javonte Williams, but I get Alvin Kamara. At least the bye week doesn't compete there. I'm planning on being pretty heavy in the wide receiver department. I'm going to take a tight end at the end of the draft. Quarterback, I might take my next pick, and then I'm going to call that a day and just hope the two of them are good. And that would be if Dak Prescott's available, so I can stack that with Brandon Cooks, because I don't really want to stack either of my other wide receivers. I could go Sam Howell really late, I suppose, but, you know, not going to do that. I'm just going to see if we kind of let this wide receiver position come to us, what happens there. All right, back up on the clock. James Cooks, I was thinking about taking him, so that makes it easier. Gonna go, man, best ball, Alan Lazard, I don't know. Well, we did it. Took Alan Lazard. I don't love it for best ball. It should be fine, though. Gives me another guy I could stack at least. I decided not to go quarterback that time because it just didn't make sense with my board. All right, back up onto the board, and I'm going to continue to push the quarterbacks. You know what? I'm going to take Darnell Mooney, stack that up with Justin Fields here. What is that, week 13 bye, but that's wide receiver. Another thing I did to myself, I have 2 week 7 buys for wide receivers, but I do plan on having a lot of wide receivers, probably like 8 of them. The biggest issue, once again, I did myself with these bye weeks. So I think I'm going to want to get myself a strong quarterback, so I'll just go 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and then the rest between my wide receivers and running backs, and go as deep as I can in the wide receiver field as possible. I thought about going with Jamal Williams, with Alvin Kamara, run into more bye week issues, but that at least locks up. Yeah, I've taken some risks here, so I think this is just going to be a risky lineup, and hoping that everything works out for it correctly, and then it'll work. If not, it won't work. It's not Travis Kelce's fault that this has happened. All right, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on Aaron Rodgers, as I was hinted at possibly doing there. And then we're off to the races. Oh, man. I have 6 more picks. I can go 3 of each. I go 2-2. You know what? We're going to do it. Kendre Miller here. And that should help to shore up any issues with Alvin Kamara, or injuries even too. I'll still have another 2 guys that I can take here, so that's why I started putting my running backs over here so I can avoid that. And wide receivers, I got another 3 that I can take there, and then I'll leave the tight end for the last round. All right, so week 7, week 13, week 11, week 14, it's just trying to avoid some of these things. So I think I'm going to go Jaden Reed here. And I guess I'll get 2 later round running backs. I really wanted to fortify that running back early, but it just didn't fall like that for me. Came really close a couple times. All right, so we don't know where Ezekiel Elliott will go. That's a little bit risky with my bye week situation there. Jalen Hyatt, week 13, bye. The toughie. Looking at the question of Ezekiel Elliott, Tyjae Spears, I need upside at this point, and I'm just not so sure Zeke has all that much upside. Really dependent on the team. Tyjae could work himself out a role there, and in the event of an injury, I think he's got a good shot at being the starter there. So, no bye week concerns there. I'll take it. Well, I was thinking of taking another helping of Chase Brown, but things didn't work out like that. And so I was being prepared to take Cedric Tillman, but we'll take Hunter Renfrow. That'll be all right there. Week 13, yeah, that's... Oh, boy. Week 13, week 13. Week 13, baby. Bunch of them. But I'll be stronger in other weeks, to a sense. Oh, there is that. I don't know if I was busy. Did I miss my CEH pick? I think it was just taken from my board. I think I was busy. Who knows where I was? Spacing out. A few picks before me here. It's like my main target at tight end was taken. So I'm going to be between Jelani Woods, Cade Otton. Got quite a few week 11 buys. So, just in case, I think we'll just go... I think we'll go Cade Otton. Jelani has the higher ceiling, that's for sure. Let me think here. On a week 11, all my wide receivers are good. So, I don't have to worry. I have Jelani Woods higher. Let's take Jelani Woods here, go for the gold. And so that is my roster. My tight ends are Travis Kelce, Jelani Woods. I think that is the route to go if you grab Travis Kelce. Just don't really worry about tight end till very late. It doesn't have to be your last pick necessarily, but these, I would say, last 2-3 picks are perfectly fine. What I learned from this draft as far as best ball goes is I really don't feel comfortable putting myself into bad, poor, bye week situations early on in the draft. That's not a spot I like to be in, because then I took so many people off my draft board because I didn't want to continue to stack up on that. Eventually I just had to say screw it here with the wide receivers and just kind of went for it anyways. Yeah, that's my lesson. So this is the team. Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers for my quarterbacks. Feel fine there. Justin Fields gives me a huge ceiling. Aaron Rodgers could be, good enough anyways as a backup. And I'd say health is my only concern going 2 quarterbacks. But I kind of made that decision to only go 2 quarterbacks so that way I could spread my seed as wide as possible in the wide receiver and running back realms there. And just make this kind of a risky roster that if things hit, it's going to work really nicely. If not, well, there goes $3. Can't win them all. So, running backs, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, Tyjae Spears, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Definitely not my strongest running back group. We can stay healthy up top, though. Feeling pretty good about that. Week 13, figure it out between these guys, hopefully. Especially at that point in the season, could be some injuries going on, make some of these guys more viable. Who knows? Somebody could be back from a suspension if that happens. And then as far as wide receivers go, Terry McLaurin, Marquise Brown, Brandon Cooks. So what do we have here? We have inconsistent ceiling, probably an inconsistent high floor, high ceiling. Brandon Cooks, probably an inconsistent, somewhere between. I'd say he's got an okay floor because the offense high ceiling because he's Brandon Cooks, but not a huge ceiling. Alan Lazard, no ceiling, high floor-ish, decent floor. And we get the target thing going on there with Aaron Rodgers. Jaden Reed, yet to be seen, but he could get a lot of targets. He's going to be in that slot spot. Jalen Hyatt, it could be a great wide receiver, especially as we get to the second half of the season or something. Hunter Renfrow, we could see a return to him being a top 2-3 wide receiver is possible. Travis Kelce, Jelani Woods, a tight end there. So there it is. Let me know what you think. I think it's just a risky roster, but I have a lot of guys who can go off each and every week, and the bye weeks are fine. Hey there, so just coming back, I had a little bit of time to think about this, and I was looking at this roster. So here's why I don't know that I like going Travis Kelce early with how many of the wide receivers are going early this season, and then how many of the running backs after that first group and a half or two are just huge question marks. And the wide receivers are going early for a reason because there are a lot of slam dunk options early on. And then there's a lot of murky ground there too. So this roster, although projection wise, I actually am like top 3 or 4 point wise, I think I like this roster a little bit more. And so you see Trevor Lawrence, quarterbacks, I think, took somewhat of a similar route to the quarterbacks that I took, ADP wise, especially there with Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr. I like Chig Okonkwo. Juwan Johnson, I don't like. Running backs, I think it's arguable which group is better. I think because of Devin A-Chain as his third running back, I would feel safer with these running backs. Not as high of an upside as my running backs, though. So front of my running backs better. Don't really care about the Trevion Williams pick there, though. I would have gone somewhere else, but then again, I have CEH, so people could feel the same about my CEH pick. Then for the wide receivers, this is the big difference to me. Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, who I have higher than ADP, so I'm much closer to Keenan Allen than not. Zay Flowers, Zay Jones, Marquise Valdez-Scantling, Nathaniel Dell, Michael Wilson. I would have gone with some different options for some of these. Don't hate the Michael Wilson one of note there. And Nathaniel Dell could surprise. Marquez should have some games, but he's already got a strong group up front. And so this is a similar roster build. Just, I think he could have maybe gone one more running back somewhere in there. Whatever the case, I don't know. Do you like this roster better than mine? Let me know. So there's for one last viewing. Here's my roster. I mean, maybe it is better. I don't know. It's close. All right, peace. Please like, comment, subscribe too.